The world is more connected than we ever dared to imagine. A vast, invisible grid of data and capital. Trillions of dollars move in milliseconds, fueled by algorithms and human ambition. It is the lifeblood of our modern civilization. It's a heartbeat that never stops, a system that powers every corner of our lives, from the tallest skyscrapers to the smallest village. But complexity brings fragility. When one thread pulls, the entire tapestry begins to unravel in ways we cannot predict. History is a cycle of growth and collapse. We've seen the warnings before, written in the margins of economic textbooks. Every crisis, every market surge, every shift in the global balance of power, it all points toward a singular moment in time. In the silence between the numbers, a choice is being made. A decision that will redefine what it means to be successful. Everything you've seen, everything leads to this. The future of finance is here, and it leads to this. Why does money move the way it does? It is a silent, invisible tide flowing through the hidden arteries of our civilization. Across countries, crossing borders at the speed of light. Across systems, from the oldest foundations of banking to the frontiers of digital code. Across the world, a heartbeat of trade and ambition that never stops. In the shadows of high finance, every transaction tells a story of intent. A story of power, calculated risk, and the eternal pursuit of value. Connected networks, pulsing with data, shaping the future of global wealth. Behind every digital pulse lies a human decision, a ripple that changes lives across continents. Understanding the flow is understanding the world itself, the global engine of capital, always moving, always evolving. This is the pulse of our collective future, written in the language of value. Look closely at the world around you and tell me what you truly see. On the surface, it appears to be a landscape built on order and transparency. Power in its traditional form, etched in stone and guarded by heavy walls. Grand halls of government, where history hangs heavy in every quiet corridor. Central banks, the silent, rhythmic heart of the global economic system. Policies and laws, the heavy ink that defines the boundaries of our lives. This is the structure we are taught to trust, the visible layer of control. But the foundations are shifting. They are far deeper than they seem. Beneath the stone lies a far more intricate and relentless digital pulse, a borderless web of influence, woven through every digital transaction. A system that moves in silence, operating far beyond the gaze of the public, shaping the world we walk through every day. Welcome to the real surface of power, the world we see and the one we don't. But power alone doesn't explain it. Because money doesn't just follow authority, it follows something else entirely. It follows the invisible architecture of trust and influence, a system that transcends borders and individual will. In this game, the rules are written in the language of value, and value is a ghost, haunting the halls of the powerful. To understand the money, we must understand the system. It is a network built on collective belief, as vast and enduring as the earth itself. Before the digital age, we carved our trust in stone. Today, we stream it through the ether. To master the future, we must look beyond the throne and into the light of the system. This is the new architecture of power, a legacy of trust, redefined for the ages to come. Money is more than currency. It is a form of social energy. It flows where trust exists, following the path of least resistance. But trust isn't built on promises alone. It is built on the architecture of stability and the assurance of permanence. When systems are stable, the world opens. Capital moves across borders not just as numbers, but as a shared belief in the future. In the chaos of a volatile world, investors seek the quiet strength of predictable environments. They look for the safe zones. Where rules are predictable, growth becomes possible. Transparency isn't just a value, it's the bedrock of global commerce. That's the core of everything. A system that doesn't just hold value, but preserves it through the integrity of its design. Money flows where it is respected. It stays where it is understood. Trust is the foundation upon which we build the future of our world. The world is bound by invisible threads, conduits of power and influence that define our era. In an interconnected world, wealth and influence are never static. That's why it moves to the United States, drawn by the gravity of established markets. But this connectivity is a double-edged sword. When one link breaks, the entire chain feels the vibration. Local instabilities quickly become global problems. That's why crises spread with such relentless speed, ignoring the boundaries of nations. Change is inevitable, yet the foundations of the past are deeply rooted. That's why new systems struggle to replace the old. The inertia of history often outweighs the promise of the future. We stand at the crossroads of these forces, navigating a landscape where every movement has a consequence. The systems of tomorrow are being forged in the heat of today's challenges. Because in the end, we realize money is not controlled by force. It is guided by belief. We build our world on the foundations of what we know, solid, unmoving, or so it seems. But the world we see is only a reflection of the lens through which we choose to look. It defines our boundaries and our possibilities. When that lens begins to tilt, when the first light of a new thought breaks through the old structure, the earth beneath us begins to tremble. The systems we once relied upon start to dissolve. The familiar becomes foreign, and the order of things begins to unravel. Reality is not a fixed point. It is a fluid dance between perception and truth, ever changing with every breath of insight. To change the world, one must first be willing to let go of the world they thought they knew, to step into the unknown. And when belief finally changes, everything changes in an instant.